do it then. Coach Helen for You Fit Studio. And we're talking about cheat days. I called it cheat day blues because it often is the way it ends up. It's nothing to do with the kit, I promise. Although blue is the colour. It is the old cheat days. This is, okay. It's partly observational, partly fact, and partly my own opinion. All of which combines to create this live / podcast, which is about cheat days. I mean, who has had a cheat day or a cheat day meal? I think we will, like, some people will say cheat day meal or cheat day. There's definitely a lot of that has been bantered around. I think most of the 6 months have been a cheat day, if I'm honest, for most people. It's like the last 6 months have been a cheating all over. Cheating left, right and centre. That's what's happening with the old cheat days. However, I'm going to talk about it in its, I'll say traditional sense, like it's an antique. I'm going to talk about cheat days in a traditional sense. In that, what is it? It's never a meal, I'm going to be honest. It is a cheat day, whenever you hear it. A cheat day is a chance to, this is in the client's words, not necessarily mine. Client will say it's a chance to relax and put everything to one side. And actually it's usually a day where there is definitively absolutely no training whatsoever, because it is like literally putting everything to one side, and it's usually a full-on food frenzy, right? It is whoa, we're gonna go into that, Kate. We're gonna get, whoa, I was gonna, but I'm gonna have to now. Whoa, Kate, you did it, you went there. So it is a switch off mentally as well. So it's a day of physically turning off or turning down the volume, and it's absolutely a day of mentally turning down in terms of you're going to look at it going, yeah, let's do it, let's get into it. Cheat meals, geez, cheat meals or cheat days, any of it. It's okay. It's. I'll give you the consequence. I'll tell you the mindset. So the mindset is I've worked really hard. I've been in the gym, therefore I have deserved this. I've worked hard enough to eat this, whatever it is, in its absolute calorific mountain of food. And fair play, it's a reward. You went there. Mine are cheat days. There are reward days. Yeah, reward days. Consequences of that. For some, Kate, remember I'm talking about extremes here, I'm going to say that. For some people, it can consequently create the situation where somebody's training hard and let's think about this. If you're creating a cheat day, you're ultimately also creating clean days or non-cheating days, whatever you want to call them. Which is okay to a point. Hand on face emoji. Walk on into it. Come on, Kate, walk on into it. If you remember, have a look at Kate's before and after. See how cheat reward days work for Kate. To be fair, they've worked pretty well. However, for some people, the eating clean, eating dirty way of looking at things in extremes often ends in that. So we have essentially, I've seen it. I've actually sat with a calculator and a client and worked it out. Literally, this is not. It's happened more than once actually. To be fair, over the course of my career, to sit with a calculator and work out a cheat day's calories with a client, and it was something near 7,000 calories over a day, or it was 7,000 and a bit. On the first occasion. So on the first occasion, this client had 7,000 calories over a 24-hour period. And they were probably averaging about 3,000 calories a day at the time. Male client, by the way, just in case you're wondering. Kate's like, 3,000 calories a day. And so that wasn't, that was quite a large amount of food. When I was explaining to the client, it's actually he was having 2 days worth of food in one day. And that was the first occasion. Now, consequently, what I saw and happens quite a lot is that the cheat day started to bleed and kind of leach into the weekend. So rather than it being a Saturday night as it had started, it started to be Saturday lunchtime, Saturday evening, and then it would go Saturday lunch, Saturday evening, then it was going into Sunday morning, then Sunday afternoon, And then when that got really extended, like pushed the boundary, then it was happening on the Friday night. So what was happening was that client on the first occasion had a cheat meal or a cheat day in his head and still lost weight, right? So because that client had still lost weight, in their head it was like, right, I can start to push the boundaries. So what often happens with people is they start to push the boundaries of that cheat time or the cheat zone or the cheat meal or the cheat day, and ultimately it's an enjoyment of switching off mentally and often not training as well, starts to pull more value to that individual, that client, which is I can understand it. We're not immune. By the way, I am actually human. I do understand it. Like I know for me, if I've gone down this route, choking on the memory, if I've gone down this route, which I have, for me personally, it's almost a memory of a past life for me personally if I go down this route, and it's often the same for a lot of other clients. So, and by that I mean that if in a previous life I used to eat wherever I wanted, and not care about the consequences or not see any consequences, having a cheat day or having a cheat meal day, weekend, and still losing weight would be for me, or was for me, the ultimate achievement, right? The thing is, I know, and I've said before, when I was being coached, that actually I was probably bringing my cheat... We're back! Ooh, back. Everyone's getting on Sky News right now. So back to the cheats. So if I was extending that, if I was pushing the boundaries and still seeing how much I could push it and still lose weight, I understand that's why some clients will want to keep pushing the boundaries, because they want the best of both worlds, which is I can train during the week, I can choose to leave the weekend to one side and not be concerned about the consequences, because ultimately I'll be able to recover them, or there will be no consequences, and therefore there's more value in the moment of enjoying this cheat weekend, this cheat day, than there is for me worrying about the consequences. In case saying, oh, I have felt the consequences, yes. And the thing is that actually, and it is and it's leading me nicely, Kate, onto the next point, which is actually each time it's a learning curve, right? It is a learning curve for all clients. I would say that is it will be a learning curve for you, Kate, as it was for me, and it is for any client. If you're looking at how you want to then still preserve the best of both worlds without implementing the approach to cheat meals, which ultimately always ends up in debt, because that is actually what happens, by the way. It can start out, as I just said, by getting the best of both worlds, training during the week, going out, partying hard, still losing weight, riding the train of that for quite some time. Ultimately, that train will come to a stop. It does not matter who you are or how hard you train. I've seen it. I can't even give you a number. I've seen it that many times. I don't think it's possible to give it a number. It's that often. At the end of the day, the train will come to a stop at the next station and won't leave you again for some time. If not, start going backwards down the track, going whoa. And why does that happen? Again, for the reasons that I said, the content of the cheat meal gets more and more outlandish. Whereas the client who started at 7,000, I ended up one weekend when I went from a Friday to a Sunday night with him, it was near like 12,000 calories. It was intense. To the point where it for that client, they'd taken it to the point where they could no longer maintain and sustain the cheat mentality, because the content of the cheat meals was just getting extensively higher in calorie, because they just wanted to push the boundaries further and further to his extreme limits. And whilst that case wasn't extreme of a client, it happens at every percentage. If that was 100% or 90%, I've probably got it 100% if I'm honest. If that's 100%, then everybody will push that boundary from 100% all the way down to like 10, 20%. People like to push and test boundaries, see how far they can rebel a little bit on the process, and still get what they want. Ultimately, everyone does it. It doesn't matter who they are, what point they are on the journey, it will happen. Now, the thing about percentages, interesting enough, and this is what I talk about a lot of my clients. And remember, again, I will say this, you always have outliers, right? So there are some people that can play this game like an absolute card shark for a long period of time and get a result. It doesn't mean I won't warn them this is potentially a risk, right? I do. However, what will happen is in their own way, they will start to learn the percentage of where they can push and shove, right? And by that I mean, if I say, generally speaking, which I do, there or thereabouts, right? Sam and I have talked about it when we've done, way back when, I think about a year and a half ago, we did a live together. Oh, God, that was some time. It might have been 2 years ago now. We did a live together about something like this. Similarly, we were both in agreement, which is good because we were doing this live. We hadn't really had much of a conversation beforehand. We just went with it. And we were both in agreement that for someone to be successful in terms of how consistent they are, or using somebody else's language, clean they are during the week, not a word I like to use. However, if someone is clean or has healthy choices during the week, shall we say, 60 to 70% of the time, right? So 60 to 70% of the time, they are eating, using healthy choices, using the guidance of their coach, sticking to that guidance, training regularly, 67%. If that is their goal, which it is, because we never ask for 100%. So we never ask for 100% perfect or clean or whatever you want to say, because that's not how we approach things for longevity. So if you don't ask for 100% and we're asking for 67%, that leaves you, let's not judge my maths and get it right, 30 to 40%. Oh, look at me! 30 to 40% of time where essentially you are, if you want to use the language, cheating, right? If you want to use that language, if this is the language you already use for cheat days, so 30 to 40% of the time of your whole week, you could be eating things that are not to the portion or not on track within reason, right? So the idea is, though, that if you're wanting to cheat, if you want to cheat, right, you have some play space to cheat in. However, how much you push that boundary, like is it 30% or are you going 35? Or are you thinking 40 but really it's 45, right? This is where it still gets unique to the person and their interpretation of that, right? How much you push and shove on that percentage is down to you, right? If you want to cheat the system or whatever you want to call it, if you want to push the boundaries, then you can. However, there's always trial and error. Now, with some clients, if they get it right and practice it, right? So by practice, I mean actually understand it and go in it with a conscious plan and process and a strategy that's been put in place by their coach to say, right, you are going away and you are intending to have a party, right? Party. Or a good time, if you want to be normal and say it. So if you're going for away for a night or a weekend, or you've got a big blowout night, the strategy is in place for your coach to say, right, here's the plan, here's what we expect. We've looked at previous behaviours, we accept your behaviours are there, we accept the outcome, you accept the outcome, are you prepared to do the work before or after? And then actually have an open conversation and say, right, this is where you're going to flex, this is what we've learned, and this is what we're going to deploy as a strategy, right? It's a strategy. Strategy is a set of plans or a recipe, if you like, for success. So if that strategy is set in place for a client to follow, to say, guess what, step one, play your 67% before you're going to start to go to your cheat. So really, really use it, deploy it, understand what your 60% to 70% actually is from a consistency point of view. And then go and be in your 30, 40%. And we understand what that 30 to 40% is. And then guess what? We know when you come back, you've either played hard in that full on, you've pushed that 40% like a mofo, you've come back, you've waxed that. You then have to come back and then have an open conversation to say, right, so reality is, coach, I went hard, I went 50% hard, I just ate everything that was there, I cheated my ass off. Then we got to talk percentages again. You got to find the flex and the flow for you to say, right, coach, you know what, I'm going to have to come back and it's going to have to be 70 to 75% now because I went full on hard on that cheat, right? We're like, okay, cool. So we do a recovery plan. We have a strategy. We taught strategy before this happened. Now we deploy it. Now, however you look at that, once you have a coach behind you who knows you, knows your behaviours, knows the likelihood of your behaviours, and really knows them, not what you tell me. Just saying. How many people have said, "Oh, Helen, you know me so well." I'm like, yes, I do. I accept and do not try to change someone's behaviours, right? I work with their behaviours to ensure that they stick to their 60 to 70% majority of the time and still ultimately win. They don't cheat, right? Because the final point I'm going to make before recap is that if there's only one person, right? There is only one person you're cheating if you don't get a result. Ain't me. No, it's not me. If you do not get a result, a cheat day or a cheat meal or a cheat weekend, there's only one person who bears the consequence of a cheat. You're cheating yourself out of a result if you do not deploy a strategy that accepts it and starts to look to a way to make it part of a balance of life rather than an extreme of I'm putting everything to one side and that's it, and I'll have amnesia after it. It's just happened, right? Talk about food amnesia all the time, right? A cheat day is a food amnesia straight out of the book. Should have said that. It is, right? I'll say in the recap for sure. However, cheat day mentality is like, it happened, I forget about it until next time I do it again, which is in about T-2 days, right? So this is the thing. Talk about it with your coach. Have a coach, firstly. Have a coach that has your back and knows you enough to say, right, this is how you like to behave, let's work with it. Let's not stop it. Let's not force you into something you're going to begrudge. Right, really, if we're playing the long game, which we are, then let's work with you rather than against you. Find a way to deploy a strategy that helps you feel like you're still ultimately in control. You know your own behaviours better and you're able to work with them, not against yourself, right? So, that's probably a bad idea. Right, cheat day blues. Cheat day or cheat weekend or cheat holiday, work hard, play hard. Okay, I'll take that. Yeah, if you just do the work, you play. Do the work before or after. That's the thing. Work hard, play hard, work hard again, Kate. That's how that should read. Work hard, play hard, work hard again. And then you can play even harder, right? You can be climbing walls and paddleboarding and all that kind of stuff, okay? You can do it all day, mate. So cheat day, cheat weekend, whatever it is, it's an opportunity that somebody may seek on a regular basis to put their goals to one side. Mentally and physically, that is a day where somebody's saying, nah, I'm checking out for today. This is my checkout zone. I'm out, right? I'm out. Done. Leave it all behind. Consequently, someone may train hard, work hard for 6 days a week and then drop the ball for one day on a big time, and not even a ball like when I'm saying ball, I mean a tennis ball. I'm talking like one of them big ass cartoon type 10-pin ball type things. Go for money, right? It's going to be calorically high and it's going to start to bleed. It always does. No matter who says it doesn't and they're in control, it always bleeds, because as people we like to rebel. So we like to push the boundaries and see how far we can get and still be able to say we're losing weight, or still be able to say we're in shape, when actually we're pushing the boundaries too much, too often, and ultimately what happens is somebody stops losing weight, right? It just happens, right? A cheat day becomes a cheat weekend. I talked about that client who went from 7,000 to 10,000 calories over a weekend. Oh, bangers. I mean, that's a lot, fair play. However, what wasn't happening was that strategy wasn't in place for the coach. So the open conversation wasn't happening. Crushing ball, yeah, wrecking ball, wreck it, Ralph. That's the one, Kate. So what I talked about towards the end is a strategy. So it's open conversation of using your coach and utilising your coach to put together a strategy that understands your behaviours when you're choosing consciously to come off track, what your own personal blend of percentage of time you need, right, and must have to continue to lose weight and be healthy. And as Kate said, work hard, play hard, because you can have both. You can have your cake and lose weight, right? Your own personal blend of how much to tune up and tune down based on your own behaviours and your coach understanding them and talking about them openly as much as you do, means that together you can put together a plan that ultimately does allow you to have some playtime away from consciously losing weight, or whatever you want to call it, because ultimately it is a grind to lose weight long term equally. So the 30% is paramount to have that as part of your your whole approach so that you don't feel you need to cheat. There's nothing to cheat if you're getting a result and also having your 30%, right? As I said, I finalised with, you're only cheating yourself if you continue to have cheat days, because it's only a result that suffers. Right. Tomorrow's. Oh, when the scales fail you. That is tomorrow at 5. Join me, please, for that one. In the meantime, depends on the cake. So Kate said, I definitely walk 5 miles for cake. Depends on the flavour, depends on the icing. That's what I'm going to say, Kate. It might be 10 miles, if I'm honest. Or 15, if it's worth it. Until tomorrow, enjoy. Kate, you've got to get out and get some more steps because you're only on 10,000, that's not enough. And enjoy the weather for this evening, and I'll catch you tomorrow.